Okay folks, welcome back. So today we have a interesting little test. Something that has been extremely sort of debated right now online. Titleist have introduced the two new drivers, TS1, TS4.
Yep.
So today we've got our favourite Ronnie back in the house. Ronnie is Mr. TS1.
He is.
Nice to see you, pal.
I'm excited to be back.
When I saw that driver and I read about it, and I got the brief from the guys at Titleist about what it was all about, you literally were the first thing came to my mind. Lightweight, light composition, light components, 10 degrees that is actually 10.5 that's actually 11.5. So, you know, it's something companies have done for years, is that if their model is suited towards a specific player, and they think that player will grab it off the shelf, but they know that they'll probably default to putting not enough loft in their hands, they'll just add a degree extra on it and stamp it 10.5.
Yeah. Doing them a favor, really.
Really is.
Yeah.
So the uproar is been about golfers who were fitted into TS2.
Yeah.
Which, when the first two drivers came out, TS2 and TS3, this was obviously the forgiving model. This was the higher MOI driver. It came with some 50 gram kind of softer shafts, etc. And the slower swing speed players gravitated towards that.
Right.
And now they're coming out going, well, what if I was a TS1 player, which is understandable, right? But in any walk of life, if there's advancements to be made, companies are well within their right to make it.
For sure.
You know,
I think so.
and you know, if they have a model, I mean, it's fair to say that Titleist haven't seen the same success that they've seen with the TS line for a long time.
Yeah.
I actually can't think of a series of drivers
done this well,
that have done this well and would be considered industry leading, which is you know, pretty much what these are.
Yeah,
if you look at tour stats this year, I mean, the Titleist drivers are the most used drivers on tour. So they have good reason to believe that the formula in TS is right, which is why they've went all in. What do you do when you're playing poker and you've got a good hand?
Yeah.
The chips go in.
Yeah.
That's what they've done.
They've done. Yeah.
That's exactly what they've done. We've got a fast one and a low spin one.
Yeah.
We've got a higher spin and a more forgiving one that's light and can maybe increase your speed as well. Chips are in.
Yeah. I mean, we're probably not going to be here to criticize. It's been done enough. You know, the product cycle is what it is. Is it the best? We don't know, but I think it's good that this model's come out. I think it's going to be good for a lot of players. You
know, what could we say that's somewhat balanced? Could there be a rebate program that if you fit into it and you're maybe better with a TS1 or a TS4, there's some kind of trade? Maybe that would be a great thing that the companies could do with a little bit of kind of consumer in mind. Yeah, that might be worth thinking about. But
they're not the only ones that do it. I mean, Ping's we just got Ping's LST, and so they're not the only ones who do it.
What does it feel like? You know, the first couple of waggles and
light.
It does feel light.
Light,
as it should.
And light.
Right. And light overall. You're not really aware of one part more than the other.
The entire package is light.
Yeah, because in your driver, which as a little update, you've been enjoying, haven't you?
Immensely.
Immensely.
Yes, you speculated it could be a game changer, and the 410 has changed my game.
Great. Well, in that one, obviously, headweight-wise, is the opposite end of the scale from this. It has more headweight, much more headweight. So I'm not surprised that when you grab this driver, you don't feel the head as much.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So make a few kind of swishes, kind of get a little feel for your swing and speed, and whenever you're ready, Ronnie, let's hit a few. Now, Ronnie, one of the things that we didn't talk about in the kind of build up to this driver was we've had people hit it, and there have been a couple of people in the shop that this would be a good driver for. It is very draw biased.
Oh, really? Okay.
Exceptionally draw biased.
So that might be a little bit of a challenge for Ron then.
So you know my game fairly well. What's your reaction to that? An enabler or an obstacle?
See, I mean,
don't know.
sometimes it can be how does the player react to the flight. Sometimes, you know, if you're trying to turn it over a little bit and this does it automatically, you can relax and it can free you up a little bit. Yep. It can influence people in different ways. So I think let's get 5 under our belt and then let's discuss it. Not a bad one at all there, Ronnie.
Ronnie, what's your driver swing speed kind of benchmark been recently when you're practicing?
I'm going to say 90.
Okay. Just to give us some idea.
Yeah, I haven't had a launch monitor since I did the last video, so I'd say we snuck up to a 90.
Good. Okay. So above 90 would be, we'd call that a good improvement then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
A little more air under that one, Ronnie.
That's the first one I felt I got some elevation, so maybe I am adjusting a bit.
Yeah, you would be.
Shot number 5, you know, we kind of normally see that within 5 shots, you'll start to figure it out. I'm just kind of paying attention to some of the kind of key delivery parameters here just to see what's going on. And here's the thing, Ronnie, I get this all the time. So people go, not being consistent at all today. 2.5 into out, 2.3 into out, 2.2 into out, 2.7 into out.
Interesting.
It's pretty darn consistent. That angle of attack is not moving around too much. Nope. The face is a little bit closed, we know that.
Yep.
So really what I'm seeing is the inconsistent part. It's not the delivery in the sense of, it's more the strike point is the inconsistent bit today. So if we kind of have a look at the strike on the club head, so we're looking at it being a little bit toe side on the extreme. Let's go back to the table and look at those in more detail. So yeah, we've got some toe strikes we're dealing with.
But it seems to be a mix. Some are high, some are low.
Yeah, it's a little
some are centered and low. Yeah. Is that what you'd see when someone needs, well, call it more weight in this case, where they are having a hard time finding the middle of the face?
There's not much sweet spot awareness. Gotcha. So placing the middle of the mass with the golf ball's middle of its mass, trying to align the CG in both of those objects is more achievable with weight.
Interesting.
The right amount of weight.
Gotcha.
So I'm glad you said that. 2 comments. One was I felt like I was swinging fairly well. The results were not correlating.
Swing was good.
And so I'm glad you're saying it's not the swing, but the swing felt good. The
Yeah.
second part, I've watched your videos, and the standard deviation we don't talk about. Should we talk more about that in fittings? The fact that in that case my standard deviation would seem to be pretty low and therefore consistent. Is that something that you look for in the fittings?
Yeah,
sometimes?
I mean, it definitely would be. It definitely would be. I mean, you know, right now we're kind of probably in more generalized baseline numbers right now. We're worried about keeping loft on the club and not allowing that face to rotate. And actually, if you flip that driver around, Ronnie, if you look at the sure fit sleeve on that and read out what you see, so you should be at C4. Do you see that in the back of the hosel? Right. So I've almost preempted the fact that I know this is a little bit of a drawbacks driver, so I've went flat and more loft.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So we're actually playing this. It's standard lie angle, and this guy comes at 58.5.
Right.
So I've went a little bit flatter and a little bit more loft. Kind of known that this was going to be Ronnie's struggle.
You're protecting against the left side early on.
Trying to.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm thinking we maybe saw a bit more of a toe strike there.
It would seem that way, yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. So quick, we just lost a bit of the spin now. Playing in the flight window we were talking about there, the penalty is a slight distance penalty, but we've only hit it 10 yards offline, Ronnie.
True. Okay.
So we're okay.
It's good swing, Ronnie.
Yeah, you really got that one
Nice.
dialed in.
Ooh. It's one of the better ones for sure.
Yep.
It definitely seems to lack a certain consistency for him.
It does.
It's not that you can't hit good shots with it. That was fast. Probably noteworthy that that's 93 miles an hour swing, Ronnie. That's quick.
I rarely get over 130, Matty.
In ball speed, yeah.
Yeah.
So you definitely
was-
are capable of getting some speed on it, but
Steal that one, pal. Good club head speed there as well,
yeah,
Ronnie.
that's a lot of club head speed. But it becomes a point where the trade-off, if the strike strays so much that even if he makes a quick swing, you're not really getting the energy out of that if you don't strike it.
One of the things that we, talk about when we're adding weight to these heads is obviously the influence on MOI. So,
okay.
right, when you go lighter,
Yep.
technically you're lowering the MOI of the head.
Okay,
Right?
that's actually an interesting note.
So,
So you're saying that the toe, for example, because that's where Ronnie missed a couple, is less forgiving because it weighs less.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So if you take a light object and you hit it off center, off alignment on that CG, it's easier to twist that object.
That does make sense.
Nice, Ronnie. So straight away, your efficiency goes way back up there.
Huh. Almost the same ball speed out of 5 mile an hour less club.
Okay, Ronnie boy. So we actually just gave you a little warm up there, and I'm actually going to replay it because it was pretty much ideal. It was a lovely kind of down the right hand side. If anything, slight little fade, but
yeah, so nice.
it was about 230-ish. Let's see how far it went. Yeah, 235. Really good, really good. Immediately, what differences do you feel?
Huge difference. It feels like a more traditional club where the weight feels in the club
A
head.
lot more head heavy.
I feel in time and space, I know where the club head is at the
Yeah,
back, whereas
yeah.
before I didn't.
Okay,
Significant change.
Interesting.
good.
I mean, it shows the first swing you made immediately went to the center of the head.
Right, timed it.
Right.
Timed it, yeah. And it'll be interesting. I'm kind of almost looking forward to seeing a couple of your mishits because I want to see if that MOI, issue is going to be a much more stable, shot and result with the heavier head.
Good point.
That was a toe strike.
Yep.
Toe strike, yep.
It was a pretty acceptable result.
Absolutely.
Sounded like you got that one pretty good.
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Yeah, good swing. Bullet.
The bullet ball.
Love it. Really good. Yeah, there's a very,
Nice.
very consistent look to what's going on.
Good, isn't it?
It's obviously not as high launch and spin
good.
of a driver as TS1 is,
No.
but that being said, it's got the right,
Look at this. This is
a lot easier for him to control.
That's the story, and if we're in a fit right now, Ron, and you've come in here to be fit, and we would be all over trying to, really impose on you the importance of the centered strike. Having control of strike point provides all the consistency of what we would be looking to get into your game. So this is really good. And
Very interesting.
yeah, I mean, if we were to maybe go up in loft to the 11.5 or go up to the next loft up in the TS2, we might be in a real nice driver for Ronnie.
I was just going to say, it wouldn't take much. I know that the spin looks kind of low at 1500, but if you went to the maximum loft, you don't even
Yeah.
need to change he's hitting them very straight. It's really
Very
just
straight.
another degree of loft would be great.
I know.
It's a good fitting driver for
It's
him.
a really, really nice spot.
So in summary, why am I finding the middle so much more
much easier.
consistently with left effort? What happened between the 1 and the 2?
Just
get me there?
exactly like you said when you grabbed it. You said the first you were like, I know exactly where the head is.
Awareness.
So when we talk of putting the middle of one object on the middle of another object, you can only do that when you know where the traveling object is in your swing.
Okay.
So in motion and in space, if you know where that is, then you're able to align those two objects, which is ultimately what this game is all about. Or when we start messing with, you know, weights like, you know, in this Cobra F9, if we're up in swing weights and head weights and changing balance points through shafts and stuff, we're doing that to find the right balance, Ronnie, so where you can make the most consistent delivery we can possibly achieve.
So how do you wrap up who this is for?
Right.
Because there's parts of it that I think make a lot of sense and that actually did perform as intended.
Yeah.
There's a couple things that I didn't expect, like the miss hit forgiveness. So who would you recommend this for? Like someone's come in, who are you looking to test this with?
The player who hits 10 to 14 fairways around.
So an accurate player.
Doesn't really hit it offline,
okay.
right? The player who is an excellent driver of the ball, who can benefit from the longer, lighter, you know, that whole composition. Maybe they've got a bit of a drift, maybe a bit of a fade. We can add in a little bit of a drawback to that. That's the perfect player. So if that sounds like you need more speed and you could do with a bit more of a draw, but you already hit 10 to 14 fairways,
right?
Give this a run.
Yeah, so a really good ball striker that's just lost distance over the years, and they just want to get that pop back on the ball.
That's who I see this being for. Definitely.
Cool.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks, Ronnie.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, it was a pretty good test because there's a lot of people who bought a TS2 who are going, that TS1 sounds like it could have been the one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping what we're seeing here is they're not like that, they're like that.
The separation is quite
There's
wide,
quite a lot of separation.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the TS4 test today, and I'm kind of hoping the same thing occurs with TS4.
That's a good point.
Is that it's not really what TS3 is all about. TS3 is all about the sure fit cartridge that you can adjust and make it draw bys and fade bys. This thing is pretty much just you know, weight forward. It's fast, it's low spin, and if you're, again, same thing, if you're finding fairways and you just want a bit more,
hammer it. Yeah, two specialty clubs.
Yeah.
I think TS2 and TS3 will still be, what, 80% of their fittings will get into those.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But I think as a fitter, you know, over at the Titleist centres, or even here, because we'll have all of them, it will give the fitter more options should they need something a bit unique.
I mean, that's overall just going to benefit the market to have more options. I know people aren't happy with how this was released, but long-term speaking, good to have more on the market that could fit you.
That's a good point.
All right.
Excellent. Ronnie boy, thank you as
Thanks,
always.
Ronnie.
It was an interesting journey. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, well worth diving into that. And you were the perfect candidate to kind of show that up, so it was great.
We appreciate it.
Okay, guys, hopefully this has explained a little bit of TS1 versus TS2 for you guys. You know, we certainly see value in both. They're different enough. You know, hopefully we showed that here. And you know, we maybe have exposed a little bit of who one is for and who one is not for.
Definitely.
And hopefully that can help with the buying decisions.
Great.
Excellent. All right, thanks so much for joining us, guys. We'll see you again soon.